Take the journey, come on, let's go. Oh yeah, where the stars and secrets flow. Summation X radios glow. In the night, we'll ride the show into the unknown, unknown, where mysteries are shown, shown. Dance to the beat we own, oh yeah. Come with us and let it go, go. Night sky whispers in the dark. Secret trails will leave a mark. Follow close, ignite that spark. We're alive, it's just the start. Into the unknown, unknown, where mysteries are shown, shown. Dance to the beat we own, oh yeah. Come with us and let it go, go. Feel the rhythm, feel the night. Every heartbeat, pure delight. So mysteries come to light. Hold on tight, it's out of sight. Into the unknown, unknown, where mysteries are shown, shown. Dance to the beat we own, oh yeah. Come with us and let it go, go. Feel the rhythm, feel the night. It's every heartbeat, pure delight. Mysteries come to light. Hold on tight, it's out of sight. It's out of sight. Into the unknown, unknown, where mysteries are shown, shown. Dance to the beat we own, oh yeah. Come with us and let it go, go. Unraveling the mysteries, secrets in the night. We travel through the cosmos, ready for the flight. Together we'll shine, some shadows aside. In the heart of the rhythm where our dreams collide.
Join the Subnation X quest, the truth is our guide. In the vast expanse, it's where we reside. Hands up to the sky, let the bass ignite. Feel the grooves around us, everything's alright.
From the Subnation X quest, the truth is our guide. In the vast expanse, it's where we reside. Hands up to the sky, let the bass ignite. Feel the grooves surround us, everything's alright. SMX radio, let the truth ignite. Together we'll shine, bringing shadows to light. In this cosmic dance, we're connecting the dots.
Tune into the frequency, let's explore the spots. Heavy bass drops with tight beats.
Illuminate the shadows, the echo of our call.
On this roller we will never fall.
Feel the energy rising, can you sense the spark? As we dive deeper into the cosmic arc.
Stories of the universe, mysteries unfold. In the heart of SNX, where the truth is gold. Every note we play, every line we write, crafting our legacy, shining ever bright.
SMX radio, let the truth ignite. Together we'll shine, bringing shadows to light. In this cosmic dance, we're connecting the dots.
Tune into the the frequency, let's explore the spot. Here in the spotlight, we're taking our turn. With the fire in our hearts, let the passion burn. As the next radio's call, ringing through the air. Together we rise, together we dare.
So join us now, let the rhythm flow. With SNX Radio, we're ready to go. Unraveling the mystery side by side, we stand hand in hand. In this dance of truth, let the story expand. Out in the dark, the stars align. Oh yeah, signals flashing, a secret sign. Sasquatch whispers, UFOs glide. Mysteries unfold, can't hide, can't hide. Voices in the static calling me, calling me. A cosmic rhythm setting me free. SNX, feel the vibe, let it flow. Connections glowing, don't you know? SNX, light the night, let it show. Cosmic groove, we're ready to go. In the woods, shadows move, move. Skyline flickers, it's a neon groove. Expert stories witness sight, unravel truth in the cosmic light. Voices in the static calling me, calling me. A cosmic rhythm setting me free. SNX, feel the vibe, let it flow. Connections glowing, don't you know? SNX, light the night, let it show. Cosmic groove, we're ready to go.
And we are live, and welcome everybody to another episode of SNX Radio Friday Collab. And of course, we have Rob from Typical Skeptic Podcast on. Rob, how are you doing? Are you getting the music back? You able to hear me, Rob? Oh no. Uh-oh. Hopefully Rob sounds like he's stuck in a loop. Does everybody else hear me okay?
Welcome everybody
Hi.
to
Everybody in
SNX
chat,
Radio Friday.
I think Rob's stuck in a loop here. He might need to get caught up for a second. So we're just going to go ahead and get going. Hello, everybody in chat. And we are living and streaming live to Facebook, a few locations, YouTube, X, Kick, Rumble. And we got, some other ones going on. So we got a really exciting guest today, James Gilliland. And those of you who don't know him, I'm very excited. He has sent hours upon hours of endless evidence that contact has been established and made. I feel completely comfortable, especially in my own experiences, going ahead and putting that out there. So if you haven't seen before, go back and look and check out the ECETI Ranch. You can find it at ecetiranch.org. James, like I said, James Gilliland, he's on all of the major platforms. He's got a great show on Rumble and BBC, so we'll go into some of that too. But I just wanted to throw that out there. Hey, Rob, real quick, are you able to hear? Are you caught up on the audio?
You're good.
Perfect.
You're good
We're
on my
good
side.
to go. Yeah. Okay, great. I didn't know if it was going on there. So without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you a little bit about James here. We'll do the intro and bring him on. So he is recognized worldwide as the founder of Gilliland Estate, commonly known as the ECETI Ranch. That's Enlightened Contact with Extra-Terrestrial Intelligence. Tonight we're going to talk about, I know there's a lot of stuff going on about what's going on with the I don't know, comet or whatever they're saying is coming towards us, the 31 Atlas. We're going to head and get James's intake on that. So I know that's kind of been a hot topic in the media. But anyway, getting back to James, he is a best-selling author, lecturer, worldwide, minister, counselor, multiple near-death experiences. He's a contactee, and he has contact about nightly. I've challenged that, and I asked him, and he has legitimately sent videos, pictures, galore, like you wouldn't believe, nightly. So he's gone above and beyond to provide evidence when asked. So that's absolutely wonderful. He's a contactee. He's a founder of the ECETI Ranch, as we talked about. He facilitates contact with spiritually and technologically advanced extraterrestrial beings, documented through UF sightings or phenomena CE5, which is close encounters of the fifth kind. Events at their ranch, which have been covered by ABC, Fox News, a History Channel, and radio shows like Coast to Coast. He's got books out there, including Reunion with Source, Becoming Gods in the Ultimate Soul Journey, Anunnaki Return Star Nations, and Days to Come, focusing on spiritual awakening. So as I said before, he's a host on As You Wish Talk Radio on BBC or BBS, bbsradio.com. You can find all of his links located into the description of the show. And two, we just want to throw a big shout out to everybody in chat. We got Polly, Scott, Rosin, Jason H. Good to see you over here. That's one of Rob's definitely people. So I guess we got Rob's chatting here too. So it's great. Magneticus. Oh gosh. It's wonderful to see everybody in here. Boots on the ground, Jen, a Paranormal NL podcast. She's absolutely wonderful too. I love, great, amazing host too. Polly Rotterman, as I said before, she's my girl. She's amazing, absolutely amazing. So many others. So Iverson, good to see you here too. Anybody that I missed, I apologize. I'll work on watching the chat tonight. But without further ado, let's bring James on here and welcome him to the stage. Hi, James. Welcome back. Hopefully, are you able to hear me okay? Oh, no. You know what? I think your mic was muted. You're good to go now.
Yeah, are we good?
Yep, you're good to go.
Okay, great. Yeah, great to be back on the show again. Got a lot of good reviews on the last one, and I just did Corey's conference, and they were just raving about it because I covered everything. And I covered why we don't have disclosure and why we don't have contact, and it was pretty interesting. I've been getting a lot of blowback from that. We've been getting our own personal chemtrails and black helicopters and everything for doing that show. But
I bet
it's with the territory. It just happens.
Yeah, because you had a few things go down technology wise, and it's crazy all the stuff that they'll go, and that if that doesn't tell you right there that you've got a lot of important things to say, that they're going to this extent to try and interfere, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah, we have three different Starlinks. My producer has his, and then we have two. We have one on the ranch and one at another location, and all three of them went down at the same time, and they're different areas, and it didn't make any sense whatsoever, and constant hacking, of the computers and the emails and everything. They go through like top virus protectors like butter, so we have I had a guy checking out my computer, and I had to go have my computer totally redone. They just killed my computer, and the guy goes, "You have every agency in every country in your computer hacked in here." It was pretty interesting.
I bet that's the crazy that goes on, and people don't understand that. How do you prevent some of that? Because people who are listening have been through the same thing. I can't even tell you how many times. What are some things that you do to kind of maybe curveball it or stay ahead of it?
Well, it's going to happen no matter what. So I figure, they need to learn this stuff. This is information for them too. And you know, I don't have any secrets. I don't have anything hidden. We're fully transparent here. So it's like whatever they want to know, you know, they send their helicopters all the time, you know, filming and chasing. And I go, why don't they just land? I'll tell them everything I know. You know, they can learn all about the higher dimensional beings, who's who in the universe, you know, their agendas, who are the good guys, who are the not so good guys, everything. But, you know, I found out, it's really funny because I found out that a lot of these, even Navy SEAL people and things like that we go to you, you're our go-to to figure out what's really going on. And so, you know, a lot of the white hats and to get the big picture, you know, what's really happening. So, because we're in kind of a multi-dimensional war right now, and people don't realize that. And the planet's in the process of being liberated from the old draconian law, and the tyrants and that group, they're on the way out. And all thing we see is, you know, we see a little bit on Fox News and all the lies and deceptions on the other news. But there's so much more happening beyond that. And that it's huge. I mean, it goes all the way back to the source itself, God, creator, great spirit. It goes all the way back. And that energy and all of the beautiful many beings that are helping, you know, creator are all pressing in right now, which includes the spiritually and technologically advanced off-worlders that are coming in. And, you know, all the way up to the 13th dimension, basically, are pressing in on the earth right now. And it's called the Great Reveal or the Great Awakening, or everybody has a different name for it. But it's on, and there's no way to stop it. And it's just, if people could see what's behind it, people are seeing the chaos right now, because we're just seeing what's happening around us, you know, and all the big reveals and the exposés and everybody getting busted, you know, and, you know, they're seeing on that level, but they don't realize there's like at least 13 other levels going on that are pressing in.
100%. That's so true too. That is so true. There's layers upon layers of this. And I think you made a good point. It's like, okay, so if they're coming that far and they're doing this and they're not coming down in and, you know, just saying, hey, could you show me the tour so I could learn more about this? You know, no. So you think a lot of it's done for like a scare tactic, like, oh, we're going to jam your videos and we're going to jam your audio, or however they think they're doing it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to sound like a victim, because I'm not, because I chose this. You know, I knew it came with the territory, but I've had everything. I've been shot at, had my brake lines cut, had my lug nuts taken off. I've been threatened, you know, by colonels and things like that. You know, it's just, it comes with the territory, and luckily there's a lot of guidance and a lot of protection, or I wouldn't be here, you know, right now. But it comes with the territory, and you really think about it. If you're going to go to the government for contact, what are they going to say? Yeah, we did kill a lot of contactees and a lot of researchers, and we've been trying to keep secret this act we made in 1954 with the negative ETs, and that was not on humanity's behalf. And you know that's why you're not going to get contact, you know, or the real information from that side of the equation. And you really think about, after 70 plus years, all they're giving us is a fuzzy tic tac, which is probably something we probably back engineered ourselves. But they're not even going into the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, up to the 13th dimension. And that's what's really going on. That's the big picture.
Oh, yeah. Do you know Jeremy Corbell? It just happened to be Jeremy Corbell. If you know any background on him, he filmed the Tic Tac. I said you can throw that one right out the window. It's San Diego, in the same area. It was like, it's just a bunch of nonsense that they're doing this. A bunch of nonsense. Yeah, and you're right.
They'll take something and blow it all out and then crash it. You know, they'll support somebody who's a total fraud, and then they'll crash them down. And everybody follows them, and then they crash them, and then everybody goes, oh, it is all fake, you know, it is all real. And so, if you're authentic, you're going to get cut out. You know, you're going to get censored. You're going to be shut out of a lot of the shows, radio shows, the conferences, everything else. They pretty much kicked out all the people who are authentic, and so what do they have left? You know, they've got the shills, the planned opposition, the CIA. You know, it's a bunch of all these people, the Rockefeller Institute, all of that stuff is, that's what they have left. So it's a controlled narrative. And I noticed, like before, when I went to the International UFO Congress and spoke there, I go, they're going to love this. I've got the footage, I've got the photographs, the witnesses, triple PhD Boeing engineers, Lockheed Skunk Works guys. I got Air Force base commanders, air traffic controllers, all testified that these aren't ours. We don't know who they are. And they went on Art Bell and testified quite a while back. So I go, I've got everything. These guys really want to bring out the truth, and real disclosure here. Yeah, I said, I've got everything. And I went in there and I was shocked. I was shocked at how much competition and backstabbing and the shills. And they told me, do not talk about the spiritually and technologically advanced ones. We don't talk about that here. And I was warned, and of course that's what I talked about. And I got a standing ovation, and the people were crying in the front row. I could see people because they were opening up and having their own, awakening. And it was really powerful. And they had the highest rush ever, to get the CD of the talk of anything. And they said, you're coming back 100%. And sure enough, I get uninvited,
I was gonna say that they probably took that and right off the back they're like, we got to get him out of here. The sun, he's enough.
Yeah, the good old boys, the club, they got together and they said, do not bring him here. And actually on stage, I think I sent you that photo. I don't know if I sent it to you, but I actually phased out on stage, and all you could see is a blue and green light and my microphone. So it's like most of the stuff.
You can do that too. See, that's a huge thing. I don't know if Robbie, you're like that when you go, then I've seen it. You've sent pictures too. You shift into the orbs and you're able to how is it? You're basically caught between all of these different realities and all of these different spectrums, but you consistently stay right there in the middle. I've never seen anything like it. Never.
Well, it's hard to stay grounded. It's not. I have to take my shoes off a lot and walk on the earth and and get rest and sleep and things like that. But it's you really got to stay grounded. With this, I won't go into that story. It's a different one. But I had a yoga teacher once, and she said, you don't even know you have feet. Because after the near-death experience I had when I came back, she said, you don't even, she goes, I don't tell any of my students this, but she goes, you don't even know you have feet and you need to go eat a steak and get a girlfriend, And she said, because you're not here. You're not even on the planet. And it was true. And it took me, after the second near-death experience, it took me a long time to get grounded again and get my feet back on the ground. And things were shifting in and out. I would look at something, it would turn into these little gold balls of energy. And then it would phase out and then phase back in again. And I was just going, oh my God, like everything is made up of this electrum, like everything's just condensed consciousness and energy. Basically, it goes from consciousness to light to energy to mass. And that's the vibrational continuum. And we're the same. We have a physical body, but we also have an energy body.
That's so true too. And people can see that.
Yeah, we have light bodies and we have bodies all the way back, in expanded states of awareness. And I go back and forth a lot. And sometimes it freaks people out because I disappear, and then reappear.
James, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
How did you come across the ranch? Like, was it after your near-death experience, and were you looking for somewhere relaxing, and you just kind of came across it? And did you not know that it was going to be like this epicenter for ET, exploration? That like someday it would be all these ships powering up and stuff. Like, how did you kind of stumble onto it, or do you think you were guided by the ETs to find this place, or like? And did anybody ever ask you that?
Yeah. It's I've written about it in the books, but what happened was I kept having these visions, and I saw this beautiful mountain, snow-covered mountain, and then I kept and I saw a river, and I was looking down on it from up high, and I kept having this vision over and over again. So I got a map of the United States, and I used dowsing to find out where it was, and it turned out to be Trout Lake, and so I circled it on a map. and I saw the words Little Mountain, which made no sense. I go, why are they showing me Little Mountain? And there's this giant mountain. And the ranch right behind me is Little Mountain. It's on Little Mountain Road. And it all made sense afterwards. And then I took, I threw the map away and threw it in my closet, and I forgot about it. And I ended up here anyway through a series of synchronistic events. And when I stood on the land, I was just had tears. I saw 2 eagles above me. The mountain put on a show. It looked like something out of that Old Testament movie. You know, I had a big old ship appear, everything. It was like, there's no way of denying that one. You know, it was undeniable, but that's kind of how it happened. But I was in Santa Cruz, California, and I was teaching intersensitivity training classes and things like that at the time. And I just kept having this vision. I knew I was supposed to build something bigger, you know, much bigger. And what's funny, because after the near-death experience, you know, I studied for years, I hate to date myself, but almost 40 years with yogis and lamas and masters and you know, elders from all nations, and to reconnect and understand what happened, because I couldn't get it in mainstream religion. You know, it's either God or the devil, you know, and what they don't understand is the devil. And it's sad, you know, but that's where they go. But, you know, I like to play that game. How big is your God? You know, with people, you know, is your God multidimensional? You know, is it the one consciousness that encompasses all consciousness? Is it omnipresent? Or is it just a little old man with a beard and a laptop looking down on earth and taking notes and punishing bad doobies? You know, it's like, you know, but I had a crash course in how big is your God with the near-death experience. And I understand it's like, you know, the old days, Earth was the center of everything, and everything evolved around Earth. And now they're realizing Earth is just one of many solar systems, and one of many galaxies, and one of many universes, and it goes on. And that's just the 3rd dimension we can see, you know. So and then you add 13 more dimensions to that, and that's, you know, you get a crash course in how big is your God. And then I started studying the ancient history, and I realized that the bearded gods of old weren't what we think, and a lot of those are the ancient Lyrians, which we called Anunnaki. They're very tall beings, very powerful beings, and some were very spiritually advanced, and some were technologically advanced and spiritually backwards. And so that's where we got our images of the bearded gods. You know, that's where those came from. But when you know the real history of Earth, it all makes sense, but it doesn't if you don't. But I was creating a spiritual retreat center, a healing center. The UFOs were like, you know, I saw them as a kid all the time, and I just accepted them as being real. But and they appeared to me when I was younger, but I wasn't looking for that. I was really trying to connect with the masters and make my own personal connection with God, Creator, Great Spirit, whatever name you want to give it. But that was my journey. And then all of a sudden the ships started appearing, and then one of the ships came and was hovering over the ranch, meditating, and it seemed like angelic, this beautiful energy. And I was talking to this woman, and her name was Blajee, and she's like a 7th dimensional Pleiadian. But the Pleiadians they're even interacting with us here on the 3rd, but they have that ability. But I finished the meditation, and they told me, I said, well, where are you coming from? I was trying to find out what dimension they're coming from. And they said, well, we're really working a lot in the 5th and the 6th, you know, up to the 7th. And she said, actually, we're on a ship. And I go, okay, I've lost it. You know, I've lost it. This is crazy. And so I went outside to get grounded and start planting some trees. And I didn't even make it to the front door. And my sister and her friends came up. They're banging on the door. And I come out, and they go, "Do you see it? Do you see it?" And I go, "See what?" And this huge light ship was hovering over the ranch. And so I had to incorporate the spiritually and technologically advanced off-worlders into, you know, the ascended masters. And then the more you do the research, it's all tied together. It's all connected.
That's fascinating. What happened, real quick? What happened with your near death, or if you'd like to talk about it? I'm sure you've talked about this in your books as well. But what happened with your near death experiences? How many did you have, and what do you remember seeing?
Well, I had two, and one was at 5 years old, and I was dying in the hospital. I had bronchial pneumonia, and this woman in blue kept coming to me and stroking my head and talking to me, and then in the end, the last thing she did was gave me this substance to eat, and I ate it, and it was like ice cream, but it wasn't cold. And I know what it is now. It's crystallized oxygen, but we actually have it here on the earth right now, but it can't get out yet because the medical guys, they have to fall first, big pharma. But I was never sick after that. I never missed a day of school or anything. And I found out later it was Mary. And so, you know, as a disclaimer, I'm not Catholic, and neither is she, basically. She's a universal being. She's here for all the children, and she's very pissed off about the child stuff going on right now. And they are putting an end to it. That's why it's all coming out. But but that was my first one. The second one, it was a drowning, and I was in like 8-foot waves. And in high school, I was like captain of the water polo team and the swim team, and I felt like I was bulletproof in the water, and I totally got humbled, you know, by this wave. Just smashed me, and they were 27-foot waves that came in, and after the third one hit me, I just gave up, and I went through the tunnel that everybody talks about, and I saw all these people as I was rising. I was going through this tunnel, and I saw levels, but I kept hearing in my mind, don't stop. Don't stop to talk. It doesn't matter, relatives, friends, whatever. Don't stop, keep going. And so I ended up in this golden white light. It was just pure unconditional love and joy and bliss. And now you're a light being, but there's a greater light around you, and it's talking to you. And so you're unique, but you're one at the same time, which is a paradox. But and that experience, I asked, how can I stay? And it came back to me and said, I never told one of my children when to come or go. That's free will. And I go, wait a second, that's not the God I was told about, you know. And then I asked again, you know, how can I earn the right to stay? And it said, you can't earn what is given freely and unconditionally. And so you're so blissed out, you just want to give back. You're in such gratitude for being in that energy. And then the last thing I said was, I go, how can I serve? You know, what can I do? How can I give back? And I heard, what do you want to do? What brings you joy? And I thought I was going to get the big list, you know, of all these things to do. Go tell Bobby his dog is here in heaven, you know, and go tell, you know, whatever, his wife's here and she's waiting for it. You know, I thought the big list was going to come. Go do all this stuff. There wasn't a list at all. It was like, what do you want to do? What brings you joy? And I said, what really brings me joy is to come back and teach people about the true nature of God. It isn't this jealous, wrathful, genocidal, punishing God, you know, it's just pure love and joy and bliss. And all the wrathful stuff was from historical things that happened on the earth with beings that passed themselves off to be God, but they weren't. And we have to understand our real history, and it'll make sense, because you can't love and fear God at the same time. It doesn't work. You know, it's an oxymoron. You know, you can't have the all loving, all forgiving God Jesus talked about and have the jealous, wrathful, genocidal God of the Old Testament. It's either God is totally schizophrenic, or there's two separate events happen there. And so
That's so true. That's so true.
Yeah, I can't explain this to people. You're split. And the lamas, they talk, and the yogis talk about that. They talk about focus on love and joy and bliss until you become it. And that is the path, because the creator's in all of us. It's that spark waiting to become the full flame. And the more we focus on love and joy and bliss, the more we merge with it. And so I realize all God wants us to do is be happy, basically. You know, that's the bottom line. Do what brings us joy, and don't harm people, you know, be harmless. Like, and people think God's going to punish you if you're harmless. God doesn't have an ego. It can't judge you. it's impossible because it's beyond that. But we judge ourselves, our own guilt and our own fear, and fears are creating realities. Our own wounds and traumas from past experience, those are creating realities, and that's why we're having negative experiences. So not to go biblical, when Jesus said, neither do I judge thee, nor does my Father judge thee, go and sin no more. He's saying, stop breaking universal laws. Stop creating a reaction to your actions. Be kind to people, be kind to the earth, be of service, and he said, and you won't create karma. It's really that simple. So we're our own worst enemies, and we can also be our own masters at the same time by becoming one, as he did. And so, all the masters teach the same thing. The temple is within, go within, become one, at whatever you want to call it. It's like they all taught the same thing. But the thing about this is, along the way, you're going to meet other beings. And in the lower astral level, you've got a lot of crazy stuff going on there. You've got everything from serpent beings to royal reptilians to reptilians and Dracos and grays and negative grays, and tall grays and discarnate humans that are all messed up, kind of demonic, crazy energy. That's in the lower astral level, but they say you have to go through hell to get to heaven. And that's what they're explaining. You got to get beyond that and get out of the fourth dimension into the psychic and pierce the psychic barrier. And then you get into the fifth. And then from the fifth on up, it's unity consciousness. That's where people are all working together in harmony. And so that basically that's what we're going through. And now with this energy pressing in, the veils are coming down and getting thinner. And all these entities are being made known that we didn't even know were alongside us all along. And so we're seeing shadow beings. We're seeing these negative entities, running amok right now and jumping into people and friends and family, and people are going batshit crazy, the end time madness. That's what this is all about. It's a multidimensional.
Oh, they are too. People are going crazy. It's unbelievable. Some of the crazy going on.
And everything is being revealed. All the influences we didn't even know. A lot of people, they're having all these negative thoughts. I go, well, what makes you think they're yours? And they go, what do you mean? And I said, well, you have a mental and emotional body. So do these other beings. They may not have a physical body. How do you know what are your thoughts? And I said, until you become the observer, especially of self, you're going to be acting out and having all these negative thoughts, and it may not even be yours. But we give the solution to that on our website. We teach people how to heal unseen negative influences, how to keep your energies clear, world and personal healing meditations. All that stuff is on our website to help people, give them the tools to navigate this. But right now, this 8-8 thing we're going through, we are getting hammered by higher consciousness and energy. The sun is acting out too. It's part of the process. And I think, is it Neptune and Saturn are in alignment? They've got a full moon coming in. I mean, this is right for it's right for ascension and chaos at the same time. Because the ascension energies are creating the chaos. It's the other stuff. And things are being revealed. Think shadow beings, all these cryptids are coming out of the closet right now. These things are coming out. And the earth is just totally expanding as well. I mean, she's thrown off earthquakes and volcanoes, and she's all, part of the process too. So and Kilauea just went off big time again, and that my ranch is pretty close to Kilauea, but it's not a problem.
Oh, man.
It's just a little fog, but it's not. I don't worry about it. But it's so funny. But
so, Jim, when you were saying before about the consciousness, I just wanted to touch on this real quick. Are you saying that's not something? Because everybody kind of makes it sound like, okay, we're going to head out and we are going to, all of these, the ascension process. You're saying that's within. That's not without. That's an internal process.
Oh yeah, the big stuff is happening in other dimensions, and to access that, you go within. But it has a physical effect. So it is going to affect 3D, and right down to the DNA. So now here's a good one. This is going to be good going for the scientists to figure on. Okay, they know DNA is always communicating. it's I can't remember what the name is. It's not action at a distance. It's something where they take two similar objects and they sit one the other out in space and they do something to one and it's instant communication. Well, it's that same form. There's a name for it, but I forgot it. I should have looked it up last time. But so DNA is always communicating, and it's actually non-physical. There's a non-physical component to it. And so imagine all these 13th dimensional on down beings, their DNA entering the picture, adding to the collective consciousness of Earth, communicating with our DNA. What do you think is going to happen? It's big. I mean, it's huge. And what do you think is going to happen to the tyrants that want to continue to control and enslave through dependency and all these programs they got running? They're not frequency specific to what's happening, and their kingdoms, and they're going to go. There's no way out. And they might go kicking and screaming. You have to detach as much as possible and shift your energies and assets towards the awakening and healing process to get through. But this old program, this whole total control program and enslavement and everything, the tyranny program, it's all coming to an end because it's not frequency specific to the ascension of Earth and what's happening right now. So we are moving hopefully through the fourth into the fifth. Most people, and I tell people, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to ascend. You just have to be kind and loving. The energy's coming in, and people beat themselves up. I'm not good enough, or I don't know enough. I was talking to this one guy who was an atheist. Well, I'm kind of an atheist. I don't believe in God. And I go, cool, fresh slate, clean slate. And
you haven't been dated yet for generations.
He's the nicest guy you ever met. And he's the first guy to step up and help people and everything else. And I said, you're totally representing, universal law and God down here, more so than people with all these handles and robes and whatever, so. But
trying to control everything and everyone.
Exactly. There's a control factor in everything. And it's sad because, I was asking them, who are they going to contact? And they said, we can't contact religions and governments right now because they've failed to bring universal peace. And we're going to come through the hearts and minds of the people. And that people need to realize, if you want to contact these beings, just meditate. Put your intention out there and say, I want to contact the spiritually and technologically advanced beings, the benevolent ones. Get very clear. Learn how to heal unseen negative influences. Make sure you're not getting messed with. And it's really simple. And they're just waiting because they have to be invited. They can't trespass. They can take out the trespassers. They can intervene that way. But they themselves, we have to invite them.
Yeah. So you're saying set your intention, because you're right. Even before I ever do any work, I say, you got to have me. Can I have permission to come and enter that space? But that's exactly it. You're right. You have to initiate
even before the shows, before I do shows, before I have meetings, before events, we constantly clear and keep the land sacred here. And if you don't do that, things jump in, and then they jump into people, and you have all kinds of chaos. And that is what a lot of people are doing. There's a lot of families breaking up, and people's issues are all coming up, and a lot of projections and blame. And these other entities are fueling that. They feed off that chaos. And so, a lot of people are going, I don't know what to do. I don't do. And I said, just do clearings and get in touch with your own unique soul purpose and move on. And if they're pulling you down, you have to set some boundaries and say, look, you've got to do this. You've got to clear yourself. You've got to make this happen. And in the old days, the Bodhisattva, they were incarnating to end the pain and suffering. That's what they're coming in for. Nowadays, the beings coming in now are saying, this is how you heal yourself. They're not here.
True. If you think somebody has a negative attachment, what's it's so hard for people if they can't see it maybe directly, or they're feeling like something's dragging them down. What would you say the best advice is to getting rid of that?
Well, usually the way you experience them is several ways. One, you have a lot of accidents things just aren't going well at all for you. You feel, we have a saying, if you don't like what you're feeling, do a healing. Somebody walks in the room and you're feeling good, and all of a sudden you go, oh God, what, I feel like crap right now. That may not be you. That might be the energies they're carrying. And so there's a lot of reasons if you start seeing shadow beings and start seeing dark spirits and you get fearful. And so it's real important. And the healings are on our website too, on how to do them, how to clear. It's very simple. But I have it almost on automatic that wherever I go, I'm just clearing, ahead of me. I'm always clearing the energy. But the, basically, as I said before, your thoughts aren't always yours, and your emotions aren't always yours, and these other entities off the negative as well, and it actually keeps their system alive, their realm alive, and so you want to get even with them. Just keep focusing love and joy and bliss at them. It really messes them up. And the most ugly demonic entities, what they hate the worst? The divine feminine really messes them up. And it's like mom's home, and that divine
business,
much easier. It's easier by nature. Women, it's easier for women to connect because they're more subjective, and men are really objective a lot of times. And so being objective, they're not being subjective to God or the higher energies. And that's why there's been so much oppression on women, because they keep calling bullshit on the men, and the men's ego can't handle that. So I mean, here at the ranch, the women run everything.
That's what my grandpa always said. The secret to a great marriage was let the woman's a boss. My grandmother was the boss.
Exactly.
And there was nothing. There was,
Well, by nature, women have more access. Like the emotional body is so much larger than the intellect. It's massive. And then the emotional body, and you experience all your past lives, all your wisdom, ancient wisdom, everything is recorded as emotions. And so when you can access that and creator, and love is the connector, love and nurturing is what God is basically. And so by nature, women express that more, but men have their role. It's like we'd all be speaking German if it wasn't for men. Like with there are reasons for different things. Right. Men are protectors and they're doers, and they're built different, and there just needs to be a mutual respect. We're different, but the two together make a stronger whole. So.
Definitely. And I think that too, it's kind of coming out of that. And when you hear you're like one person, like, oh, women, because when I went to aviation school, my mom said women shouldn't fly airplanes. They're too emotional. They're too this. And I was like, that's crazy. But me, now that made me want to drive out there quick and, as quick as I could get there and jump on that airplane. That's how I've always. Yeah.
Well, in the Pleiades, the women make the best pilots because the ships are alive. The ships are alive. Mm-hmm. And they almost run off of intuition, you might say, and the women make the best pilots because they're more attuned to the ship. Now, if it wasn't an extremely advanced life ship, maybe men might be better. I don't know. If you got a joystick and some gauges and all the math and numbers, that might be a different story. But the really advanced ships, it's all about. They more run off they're attuned to the pilots, and the women are more attuned can attune easier to the ships, than men.
Because there is when you get, I call it locked in. Now I don't know if there's a real term for it, but when you encounter a craft and there's something aboard it, I said it's like that craft is what it is. There's an internal. It just locks in. It anticipates you. You anticipate it, and it's like this. Exactly. Locked in. Back and forth.
It's their DNA. Their DNA activated basically. A lot of ships, nobody else can fly them but that pilot. They're attuned to that person, that pilot. I imagine you can probably reattune it somehow, but that's the ultimate lock. Lock system is that you can't fly the ship unless you're unless you're attuned.
Right. Well, that's for sure. That's a kind of makes sense when you think about it. But I guess in two, when talking about it, because I was shocked at, I mean, you have had like Bigfoot, there's all sorts of paranormal and activity at ECETI Ranch. We had a question from Paranormal NL podcast, Boots on the Ground Jen, and she was wondering, what are some of your clearing techniques? I know people have been kind of curious, and two, just to let Chad know, I do have your questions starred, and we will get to them at the end. So I appreciate keep submitting them, and we'll keep track of them. But yes, can you give us some of the clearing techniques that you use, or some? And I find it fascinating too, like in contact and stuff, and how that all plays in.
Yeah, they're on the website, and they're universal in nature, and so when we ask, first we ask, do you come in the name of the Christ, which is the Christ consciousness, which is universal. And then we welcome them in love and light, and we tell them they're healed and forgiven, lifted and enlightened, and they're filled and surrounded in the Christ light and the Christ love. And then we ask the beautiful many to take them to their perfect place. And so you can call on Jesus, Mary, Babaji, Kuan Yin, whoever you're attuned to, whoever you feel, Buddha, any master you need. But we use the beautiful many to keep it, keep it for everybody. And the thing about cultures, to really become enlightened, you have to transcend all cultures and all religions and get beyond that into unity consciousness. And I'm not saying they're bad; they're just limited. Because you're really, when you get into Christ consciousness, you're one with everybody. Doesn't matter what color, culture, or race you are, you're just exuding that pure unconditional love and joy and bliss, and you're in service mode. And so all the other stuff is like lower level divisionary. It creates divisions, and we have to get beyond that.
Oh, definitely. That's a conquer and divide, those divisions.
Yeah.
Because
you see, that's what the negative aspect.
On a level, there's a certain part of this that.
Well, you look at the negative aspect of what's going on, and you've got Dems and rhinos, and not to get political, but one group is doing everything it can to divide through culture, religion, race, even gender. They're doing everything they can to create division, and that keeps that low-level world going. It keeps the dark side operating, and they're part of that. A lot of them don't even know they're part of it. It's just, and they're going, we're saving democracy by going against a duly elected president and all of his mandates. How's that? How are you saving democracy? I don't understand it when this is what the people ask for, But I don't want to get political. I don't, because I've kind of transcended politics and things like that. But just from an observer, and you watch what's going on right now, there are people that are the unifiers, and they live according to universal law, which is universal peace and brother sisterly love and individual freedom and prosperity for all. That's what they're coming from. And there's other people that are just dividing. And then the dividers have got the Muggle world totally socially engineered to live in fear, fear this, fear that. You should be very scared. You got to turn on the news to find out who got murdered, stabbed, or raped, and are they in your neighborhood, and who we going to war against, and all that. They've got people in. They lock people into the first three chakras, which are survival, sex, and power, and unfortunately they're locked in there. And you get out of there and you get into the heart. Now the heart is supposed to be love expressed for all things, and then when you get up and spoken, it's supposed to be love spoken. Love is supposed to be the power coming through each chakra. And it's God seen in all things as your third eye. And then the I am God is your crown when it opens up, and become one. But the first three chakras, people are locked into those by, so I can watch the stuff, but I'm an observer. I'm practicing loving detachment, not getting attached to all the stuff. And you can do clearings on countries. You can do world and personal healing meditations with groups, and those are on our website too. And you can help heal countries and bring peace. And you don't take sides in this. You just usher in universal law to come in, and you use lights and frequencies to move things. But we can do that as a group. Nobody told us we could do that. That's a problem. It's like we don't have the manual down here to actually defend ourselves against these other elements and realize who they are. We get caught up into that survival, sex, and power game, but it's the social engineering. You really think about it. Okay, when you're raised, all of a sudden you realize, oh, I got to have the job. I've got to have the car. I've got to have the fancy house. I've got to drink the right beer. And then I'll get the bronze girl in the bikini and I'll be happy ever after. I mean, that's the programming that you get. And then you find out, that bronze girl in the bikini may not be very spiritually awake or loving or compassionate or empty or whatever, and you find out somebody smashed your car and now you were attached to your car as your ego, part of your ego, and now you just got hammered there, and your house burned down or you couldn't make the mortgage payment, all that stuff is all designed to enslave us, basically. And so, but you can have those things, but you have to be centered in your own personal connection with Creator. You have to be unattached, to it.
So true. That's such a good point. That was so true, because you have all that stuff there, and that's how they lock you in. Because you look at even like Maslow's hierarchy, it's like it starts, you have to have food, water, shelter. So they're going to take and they're going to net chaos, and they're going to cut you right off of that to keep you in that loop. Wow. Yeah. Great.
Yeah, they'll knock you down to the point where you're just, all you care about is your food and water, because that you're in survival. But why not have a beautiful place and food and water and be able to swim in the ocean and all these things? I mean, it's all possible. But if your fear of survival, that's how they work. That's how they keep you locked in.
That fear is real, and when it's there, and it's like, and even with spirits, your vulnerability, it's right there. I said, you never show them fear. You never show that fear.
No. Then you're in their game. It's like they start out to get into. They try to create fear, and that fear opens the door. And when you learn to laugh at them, they have no power, other than you have to let them in, And they always say evil's always invited, one way or the other, but. I mean, I've seen things that most people would just freak, and be over with, and they're all tests. They were tests to go even higher and learn how to be a better healer or clearer, how to clear unseen negative influences. And to be honest with you, I had my ass handed to me several times, and I was pissed. I was mad at the masters. I go, damn it! I go, what the hell? Like, what was that? I thought I had protection. I heard this little voice goes, you did well, And I go, what do you mean I did well? I got hammered on that. And they go, no, you had to go through this. You had to realize these things are real. And you had to pull out your tool bag and start using it. And now those things that I dealt with before are like little insects. They're like go away, just.
When you're in the heart of it, it is. I tell you, it's the most uncomfortable feeling in the world, but you have to get past that. And it's not easy. It's not, no.
And they are real. I mean, these unseen negative influences are real, and they come in every size, shape, and color, and they jump in to friends and family and people you love, and they try to sabotage, your awakening and your mission. And when you understand this and you're solid in you have your own personal connection, you're solid in that, and you just keep clearing the energy, and they'll shift eventually, or they'll leave, which is really okay. If they have to leave, something else will come in even better, that's more appropriate.
Yeah, you're in there holding that space. I said energy cannot be created, nor can it be destroyed, but they definitely can suck right off of it if you allow them to.
Yeah, there's a lot of those running around right now. And the thing that veils, see, here at the ranch, the government even knows about this. This is a purple zone. And it's a purple zone because the magnetic anomalies are intense here. They're not like nowhere else. So the veils between worlds are very thin. And there's a bonus to that, because you can heal quickly and gracefully. You can heal a lot of things. And we do have a lot of spontaneous healings happen here. But you got to keep it clean. There's other energies, because the veils are so thin. You have to stay on top of clearing the unseen negative influences. And there's some things out there that people think are myths that aren't. I mean, there's some crazy cryptids coming up and things like that. The earth is ascending, and the higher beings are coming in, and they're caught in the middle, and we're caught in the middle too. So it's a big clearing process, and so people are going to start seeing. It's already happening in all the trail cams and everything else. People are going to start seeing things like Bigfoot and Dogman and rakes and skinwalkers and all that stuff. They're really coming out of the woodwork right now, and shadow beings, the Hat Man, the Hag, all those things they do exist, and they're real.
Sure,
Is it because we're on a ley line, James? Is that why you think you get, or what do you think it is about Mount Adams that is it just like a special, because you mentioned the magnetic anomaly? Is that what it is? Is it like a ley line?
Yeah, well, Mount Adams has several layers to it. One layer is like a galactic airport. And the next layer is this extreme technology that's actually affecting the whole planet. There's more energies coming off of Mount Adams than the pyramids. And we've used that Harold Oldfield PIP technology and filmed it. You can actually see just layers and layers of these beautiful energies coming off of the mountain. And so it's helping in the Earth's ascension, holding a frequency. And I think that's a lot of it. And we are 2 ley lines cross right on the ranch. And I actually have a pyramid building right on the intersection there. I built a pyramid, and that's one of our healing rooms that we do work in. And that's what I really want to move into. I have the connections and everything, but I have another 30 acres that I want to make it into, and it's just phenomenal healing center with all the latest technologies and having med beds and all these other technologies that are coming out, to help people. And that's my next. We were doing that a lot through other people, and then we started getting a lot of heat, and the scientists I was working with and things got shut down, by AMA and all the other, these guys. So, it's against a lot of healed people right now. It's like,
oh, so true. So true. I bet they shut that down in seconds, but that's great.
You can practice medicine, but if you actually heal people, then they're going to come get you.
Yeah, you don't want to be doing stuff like that. I mean, for the love of God, if we do anything, to benefit humanity, they're going to shut you down, or they're going to try. And that's why it's so important for everybody to show James, you're backing him, because then the more exposure you have, the safer you are. And the more that we can get there, and the more that they can offer this to people, and you protect in return that ability to go there, I mean, the easier it's going to be for this transition to happen. And it needs to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to happen. That's why I tell people, remove me, it doesn't make any difference. It's going to happen anyway. It's massive, and the beings behind it are just phenomenal. And I'm just here to try to get you not to hurt yourself. I'm trying to explain things that you are acting against universal law, and there is going to be a reaction, and that's all going to be accelerated and amplified. So don't hurt yourself. I'm actually trying to help my adversaries by saying you're going to hurt yourself, it's like, not the enemy. I'm actually trying to help you, and all of you, man, even the military. I'm trying to help the military figure it out, because, in the interest of national security, we need to align with the benevolent ones, and they're the ones with the real firepower and the abilities. But there are negative ones that outgun us, and we need help from the benevolent ones. So in the interest of national security, we need to align with the benevolent ones. And we already are getting a lot of help from them already, or we would have been taken over a long time ago. And they're cleaning out all the dumbs, the alien bases, all the negative stuff. They're helping us clean all that stuff out so we can get back on track again. But I think one of the main things is as the masses, people in general need to make the call. They need to make it very clear that, hey, we want to take this quantum leap in evolution. We want to align with the benevolent ones that operate under universal law. And we want to clean up the planet and bring in all these incredible healing technologies, anti-gravity, counter-gravity, and med beds and all these things. And as a whole, we need to start demanding that and asking and initiate contact and help from these higher dimensional beings. And the more we do it as a collective, the faster it's going to come. And the more we wake up, the less power the tyrants have over us, you know. So, and that's happening on a huge scale. Like people, there's a fail-safe system. It's called the soul, and it's being activated, and they can't stop that. They can't. There's no technology, no voodoo that can stop that from happening, and it's happening globally right now.
So you're saying that everybody, because he said before, contact needs to be initiated. So if everybody kind of pushes forward, you can't be that silent majority out there anymore. It doesn't exist. That's a part of the problem. I'm sorry, but it's a part of the problem. You got to voice this. You got to come out there. The more people that do will encourage other people. Be those trendsetters. Be those leaders in your community. And you got to, you know, like James said, you have to initiate that contact. They're not going to come in and violate that free will of yours if you don't.
Yeah, and there are others that will violate that free will, and we have to realize that just because you're dead doesn't mean you're enlightened, and just because you're an ET doesn't mean you're benevolent. And so we need to realize there are others, and they've had the helm for quite a while here on the earth, and that's changing. Like draconian law is coming to an end, and we're moving into universal law. And that's what a lot of these Jasara and Nasara projects are about, and things like that, bringing us back to universal law and bringing the power back to the people. And it's going to happen no matter what. I mean, the energies behind this are just astronomical that are coming in. And it's a multidimensional thing that's happening. It's not just written on paper, you know. It's you know, goes all the way up to the 13th dimension, basically.
It does, and it's like you said, this is just level. And two, I think you brought a really good point up earlier about fear and how it's there and how it does and it's controlled. But every time, I call it leveling up. I don't know what other people are ascending. I guess every time you go through that, you're going to have a whole new layer of those. But the only way through is to face those head on and just, you know, you got to trust yourself too. Yes.
But there used to be an old T-shirt. I remember that people used to wear this T-shirt. And it goes, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, or something. And then they put a little cliche in there, because I'm the meanest SOB in the valley. But it's like, you know, they could change that last line, because I have my own personal God connection, maybe, or something like that. And you know, I always tell people, with, you know, one on the side of God is the majority. And so when you make your own personal connection and you're channeling that energy through you, through the heart, you're affecting the whole planet. And one person that's awake like that is going to affect millions of people through the collective consciousness. And that's what's happening. These lights are popping on, and people are just snapping out of it and realize they're not a body and a personality, that there's a soul with a, you know, they're a soul with a multidimensional, you know, we're a body within a body all the way back to the source, you know. So, but most people just walk around thinking they're a body and a personality, and they're just out for sense gratification and the ego, you know, a lot of spiritual ego out there too. And they're in it for all the wrong reasons. And they're being busted right now. Their stuff's coming up. You know, I've got probably 30, 40 knives in my back from people in the UFO community that just totally backstab.
To protect you from them or for them?
What's that?
Yeah.
You know, but, you know,
I said, were they there because they stuck them, or to protect you from them? I said they probably go both ways, you know. It's just unbelievable.
What happens is they get into either spiritual ego, and I'm a threat to that. And then they also have, you know, it's about money. You know, if I have a funder that's helping, all of a sudden they got to tear me down so they can get the money, which has happened. So we lose our funding. That's happened several times. And it's just unbelievable what people will do just to get the funding, you know, how much they will destroy you. And then, you know, with I was on Corey's show, and I talked about that. I said, you know, the backstabbing and the competition is just off the scale. And if you are authentic, man, they are all going to come after you because they're the whole, I hate to say it, most of the ufology, they're all in on it. You know, they're all part of it. And, you know, you see all these, a good example we had, I don't want to mention their name because I'll probably get sued. You know, I've already been sued for calling it out. But
No, I hear you. I hear you. They're brutal. And when you said
aliens, you know, they talk about old aliens that came here. I sat with an hour, told them who they are, what they look like, you know, what their cultures are like, what their agendas are, the different groups. I gave them all that information. And all you see is my hand grabbing a camera. That was the only thing they covered of me. And Peter Slatier were here, and John Vivanco were remote viewers, and they validated everything that was happening here, and down to details, and it blew their minds because they validated everything I was saying, who the different groups are and everything. And they would see the ships, and they remote view the ships, and some were satellites. They go, that's just mechanical. I don't see anything on it. Other ones, they say there's these angelic beings on them, you know, on these ships. And so, and we validated with the heavens above, you know, that was a satellite, but this one wasn't, you know. So, but it's so funny, but they come out here. And I think a lot of it's because as soon as I became vocal about the child and sex trafficking, and because Mary was really pissed off about that, she was really saying, this has got to stop. And the masters, they're just done with that program, all the pedophilia and stuff. And as soon as I talked about that, I was blacklisted. Bam, I was off all the conferences.
Well, it's interesting, James, because you said it's even trickled down, the pedophilia has even trickled down into the UFO community too. And you don't have to name names, but like you could tell us a little bit about it. It's actually, it come into our community, and that's kind of alarming and scary, right? I mean,
yeah. Well, you know, we know that the banksters, right? The international banksters, they're all satanic Luciferians, basically. I shouldn't say all of them, but most of them are. We're aware of that. And they have rituals, and they have this other stuff. And a lot of that money that people have signed contracts with and are, you know, going to the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds and things like that. And then it goes down the line, and then you have other lower level ritual stuff, and then you have the sex trafficking and everything else. And you know, I don't want to mention names because I don't want to get into that, but some of the top people are very, very involved in that, and they get their funding from those groups. And so if you come in there, you're going to be blackballed. You know, you'll be shut out of the.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I was going to say, do you think, you know, I've had like people like Jessie Zevatar have talked about, you know, she's pretty big on like BitChute and Rumble and stuff. She's talked about, and other people have talked about like that there's like this whole Luciferian control system from like the politicians all the way down to local policemen. You know, not all policemen. I don't want to think all policemen are corrupt, but like, you know, some are, and then Freemasons, and then some of these people aren't even aware that they're working for this Luciferian system. Would you agree with that to a certain degree?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's definitely what happened. A lot of the Masons are just everyday people. They're like a Rotary Club, you know, and they're not even aware of what's happening on the top levels. And just like a lot of people in the churches, you know, they're just community oriented, you know, and they are all trying to make their own connection with God or whatever. And then what's done in the higher levels, they're not even aware of. You know, it's like the Diddy thing, you know, like everybody's loving all these stars, these movie stars and musicians, and they're all like this. And all of a sudden they find out who they really are. And that's part of that control network, you know, survival, sex, and power. It's keep you hooked into that. And so the whole, it's replete right now, but it's all being uncovered. It's all going to go down. And, you know, that's the ultimate slap in creator's face, is harming the kids, harming the children. And that's why they do it. And so that there's going to be a backslap. It's already coming. It's already happening.
Yeah. And people, the problem is it's so untalked about, because this has been in the UFO community. I think it's just, we hadn't had like the ability to really connect with one another like we have now.
Yeah, I was invited to a party.
It really is.
I was invited to a party after a talk. I won't say where it was, but I was invited to this party, and this guy's going, "Oh, you should come to this party," after I gave the lecture and everything. And I go, I'm not really a party person. I said, I like to go to bed early and wake up early, and so I kind of live with the sun, like more of a natural thing. And he goes, "Oh no, you should come." And he's going, "Oh, there's going to be some really beautiful women, young women there and everything." And I'm going, and the male in me is going, "Yeah," and the spirit of me is going, "This sounds fishy," right? So that, we always have the little voice and the big voice talking, but I go, something doesn't feel right about this, and I declined. And then I found out later they got busted for child or sex trafficking or minors and stuff like this. So it's happening, and not everybody's involved in that. I mean, there are good people that just don't know, like, there's good Masons and good Catholics and good Protestant, whatever, they don't know what's going on the other levels. And they're, I see people writing checks for hundreds of thousands of dollars to these people. And I go, you just financed a pedophile. And
that too, when they're blackmailing people, you have to be careful. Blackmailing.
All the blackmail and everything's going on, but and it's tricky because when you get into that, there's some people that are victims of that system. They got blackmailed and came into it, and a lot of them were drugged and woke up with a 14-year-old in their bed, and now they got them forever. There's that going on, and then there's the people that are actually instigators of all of it, that are predators, and I think there has to be a little compassion for one group, and they need to turn state's witness or whatever and do their part, but the other group needs to be totally done away with. Has to come to an end.
They do too, and I've seen that, and it's not just in, like, these are different people and different. They're collecting blackmail. They're going to put you in, like you said. I've known people who've woken up drugged before too, and I said, you have to think about what was it that you were doing, because it's not about what you consciously did. They're going to make it, and you're right there with them. So
yeah, they drop a file on your desk. They drop a video and a file on their desk, and they say, "We have multiple copies. One's going to your wife. It's going to your." One's going to go to the TV network in your town, and one's going to go to your wife, but now that's being used in reverse, because the white hats have the same files, and they're dropping them on the table, and they're saying, "You work for us. Now you work for us, and we're going to get the big fish. We're going to get the big fish first, and then you'll have to do your restitution as well." But and so it's if I told you what was really going on, people would go crazy, or they think I was crazy. They couldn't handle it. But there are masks, there are clones, there are white hats, there's dark hats, there's red hats, there's negative ETs, there's benevolent ones, and it's all playing out here. It's a multidimensional thing that's playing out here, and you can't. It's just like, don't get caught up in it. It's all going to get itself worked out. It's all going to work out, because this other energy coming in is pressing it all up for everybody to see. So it'll all be revealed.
What I had a question on, James, was like, when I was in Florida recently at the conference, someone sent me a text. They said Obama was subpoenaed, and then just the other day on Rumble, I saw that the Clintons were subpoenaed, but then it seems like it kind of gets swept under the rug. Like, it'll be an announcement, then we don't hear much about it. Do you think they really are, like in trouble behind the scenes, and then it's kind of being swept under the rug and we're not hearing about it? And is that the kind of work that's being done behind the scenes, or like, what do you think is going on with that?
Yeah, it's like 2 steps forward, 1 back. And so yeah, they have been subpoenaed. I think Clinton's subpoena is in October. To come and testify. So then they're going to come and testify, and then you got, the wheels roll slowly, but everything's being accelerated and amplified right now. So you'll see things going forward, and you go, "Oh, finally they're taking these guys out. The deep state, the dark hats are being taken out." And then all of a sudden you see it flip back again, and you go, "Oh, okay." And you get all depressed and everything. And that's going to happen. It's going to be 2 steps forward, 1 back, and then forward again, 1 back. And because the energy behind this is pushing everything up. And so we can't get caught up in that, in the drama that's happening right now. And you know, if you're called to speak out, then we need to speak out. You know, if that's your soul, that's part of your own unique soul purpose, is to confront this and speak up about it. You know, we have to, but and there's consequences, you know, but that comes with the territory.
And I have a
There
question. What do you
are
think-
consequences. Yes. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, what do you think about the Epstein files? Do you think there are Epstein files? Do you think, and do you know why Trump might have backed away from it, or do you think they're waiting for a big reveal? Or sorry, my light went out. Yeah, do you think they're waiting for a big reveal, or what do you think's going on with that?
You know, the thing about when you say, do you think Trump's backing out of it? I always say, which Trump? You know,
Yeah, that's a good point.
there's more than one, and who's controlling. You know, it's that's what I'm saying. This is so convoluted. There's so much to it. It would people would kind of go crazy, but it's like definitely there is a file. Definitely there are a lot of high-powered people that were engaging in everything. There's a lot of blackmail, and it actually involves governments, other governments involved in this as well. And there is a group that wants to control and dominate everything, and they want the population to be reduced to a very low level. And they're you know, it's the network. You know, it's the deep state is the one we're aware of that's part of that. You know, why are there still chemtrails? You know, why are all these viruses coming out? Why are all these plagues? You know, the whole, you know, United States is on fire right now. Brazil and Africa, or South America and Africa, are totally on fire. If you look at the fire maps, you go, oh my God, what is happening here? And then you've got these insane hurricanes and floods, and hurricanes jumping, you know, back to the middle of it. It's all being, there's weather wars, everything is, we're in the middle of all of it right now. And so, you know, we really need to listen to our inner guidance and not be attached and move and do what we're guided to do to get through these times, and do our own prayer and meditation and ask for help. And the more as a people, as a civilization, the more we ask for help, you know, the more it's going to come. And I always tell people, you know, when you're in the middle of a huge tsunami or a hurricane or a huge fire or earthquake or a volcano going off, it's so funny. There's no atheist there. Everybody is praying, you know, like there's no atheist in the foxhole. So all these people are going, God,
Right.
you know, like, and so, you know, it is opening doors. These Illuminati guys don't realize they're actually opening doors and getting people to start praying again and start connecting and asking, you know, the higher dimensions and God for help. So, and that is coming, you know, and they know it's coming too. They're doing everything they can to stop it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's controlled chaos. You think about it, with every order and the chaos. I mean, there is a secret order, and that chaos will make or break you. But it's happening.
Exactly.
It's rolling down.
But the problem is, see, these guys, it's like order through chaos. They create the chaos, the Hegelian thing. They create the chaos, and then they get you to react, and then they say, we have the solution, you know, but they were the ones that created the problem. And people don't realize that. People are trying to see through it now, realizing who the real problem is. And that's the awakening process is going on. People are realizing, you know, what's happening is energy coming in. People are tapping into what's called direct knowing, where you just know and you feel something's off, not right. And then telepathy is kicking on right now, where you can actually, and you can feel and read what another person's intentions are. And that's not doing too well with politicians, you know. And so all these energies are kicking on right now, and they're losing control. And eventually everybody's just going to rise, you know, and you know, there's that multidimensional chess game going on right now, but in the end, God wins, basically, whatever name you want to give it.
I agree.
So
I agree.
I guess definitely.
That's some weird. Is that you or me?
I can hear it too, but mine's muted. So I was seeing, I don't know where it's coming from just for a second. When you talk about subjects like this, you're
Oh
electronics
yeah,
go
we're gonna get
wonky.
interference automatically. They're probably warning us like, hey, stop talking.
They're going too far. They're going to the edge now. Yeah.
My
Turn
phone's off.
around,
So
back
there's
up.
no phones. There's nothing around me. But and I'm actually kind of underground right now, 12 feet down with blocked electromagnetic.
That's
So
good though. You need to stay protected. You're doing so much stuff and so much work, and we're saying disclosures now. It's happening. You're it right here, right now. And that right there is once you take that narrative or that control, you're gonna be targeted. You really are.
oh yeah,
But
yeah.
the
It
more
comes to the
people,
territory.
if people are out demanding this, that's about the only time that you really, I mean, you have to be vocal. You have to be, because it's so many other people. It's like if you're isolated, you're at more risk than if you're out there. And so,
Exactly.
man,
You know what's
it's
happening
brutal.
now is that people need to realize that disclosure is a 70-year fail. For 70 years, we roll out a new guy, a new music or TV star, and then what happens? Nothing. And it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Nothing happens. Nothing happens. And that's been going on for 70 years. And the people they roll out aren't really what you think they are. It's planned opposition. It's like it's a controlled narrative. And after 70 years, like Einstein said, it's a form of madness, basically, or I can't remember, insanity. It's a form of insanity to do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And that's what we've been doing for 70 years. And at what point are the people that go, this is bullshit? Like what? And the thing now is that all you got to do is go outside on a hopefully a dark moon and clear skies and look up. They're everywhere. The ships are everywhere, and they're all those are satellites. I mean, I had a ship land on the mountain, morphed into 3 massive ship, and we were communicating with it with a laser, and it was shooting back at us, and it was really cool. I have it all on film, and I sent it to James Todd, and he goes, "Oh, that's a space station." And we sent it to this NASA scientist. He goes, "Oh yeah, that's a space station. People often get it confused." And I go, "When is the space station landing on the mountain and morphing?" Or
Oh God, they drive you crazy.
they
Yeah.
signal back from the and even the guy, it was with I think it was ABC or something like that. The news guy, I go, "Did you ask him how the space station landed on the mountain?" And he goes, "Oh, I forgot to ask that." And I just go, God, what? It's and that's what you're up against, that kind of nonsense. But it's like, NASA stands for never a straight answer, and they've been here. They know it's real. There's people, I can't mention their names because they'll get fired, but they've been here, like top scientists, all of them, Lockheed, Boeing, they've all been here. But the thing about it is that we're not going to get disclosure that way. So there's been probably hundreds of thousands of people here that have come to the ranch and have seen the ships themselves. And so when people start attacking me on the other sites, all these people come up and go, I was there. I saw it. You are so full. And the whole network is trying to keep, it's a controlled narrative, trying to keep a lid on it. And it's hilarious watching it. So when I always tell people, what are you going to do with all these people that are just walking out at night, putting up a chair and getting some night vision goggles or binoculars, and they're looking at the sky and they're going, oh my God, there are fleets up there. And they're going every direction. It's not, and they'll go, well, that's Starlink. No, Starlink is just space little satellites all in a row. They're perfectly spaced when they come over, and you can get an app and look up and say, that's this satellite. You can get it on your phone now, and there's so much stuff up there that are not satellites that are turning and responding and flashing back. And if you say a little prayer, you just go, oh, cosmic birther, Father, Mother, God, come forth, show me, is there anybody out there? You can do a little prayer, whatever that is. I want to know. And then all of a sudden you're going to see a huge flash, because they heard you, because they're extremely telepathic. And that's how it's happening right now, because nobody's believing the government anymore. Unfortunately, they're just going, how. But that 70-year fail is finally starting to people are waking up to it.
Speaking of the 70-year, like the kind of truth embargo that we've been under, what do you think about the secret space program? I know you're friends with Corey, and like I interview a lot of SSP experiencers and stuff like that. Like it seems like, you know, from what the history, that it's a very real thing. That it's like, you know, at least we have the TR3B and some other advanced variations of that, and a lot of other stuff that they're not telling us about. Like, do you have an opinion on that?
Well, basically, we've been back engineering. Like Germany had back engineered ships in the 30s, so they were doing it back in the 30s. In the 60s, we were going back and forth to Mars and the Moon with no fuel, and very quickly. And so we've had that in the 60s, and you know, people will tell you about that on the inside. And so there's definitely a secret space fleet, and it definitely has some pretty high tech beyond our imagination. They have several different types of ships that they're using. And so some of the ships you're seeing flying up there are ours, but there's also a federation as well that they're working with. And there's a lot of arguments. Okay, it's a Galactic Alliance. No, it's a Galactic Federation. Everybody's trying to name it. And that's the problem, is you have all these channels and people down here trying to say this is the way it is, and they're all in sync in the heavens. You know, they know the way it is. They know how it's going down. But you have above the Federation, you have the councils, and so you have the Andromedan Council, the Orion Council of Light, the Sirian Council, the Pleiadian Council, the Arcturian Council. You have these councils of very, very advanced beings, billions of years old. Some of them, you know, definitely most of them are thousands of years ahead of us. And you've got these guys, they're eternal. I mean, they never die, basically. And that's what's really calling the shots. And so the Pleiadians are the ones that are most in control of Earth right now. They're pretty much in control of what happens here, because they have more genetic stock in the Earth in plant, animal, and human, because they created Atlantis and Lemuria. And we're remnants of Atlantis and Lemuria. We're the sixth civilization, I guess, to come. But there's been pole shifts and meteor strikes and cataclysms, wars, and on Earth, you know, for over 600 million years. The one group, Atlas. Atlas is coming in. That group on Atlas are called the Ahians, and they were the ones that built the glass-lined tunnels here on Earth that 600 million years ago, and they're returning. And so we tuned into them to find out what they're like and what they're about, and they're just neutral. they almost like they just went like, you know, like leave us out of this kind of. And they're observers. They're coming to observe, and they are adding their consciousness and energy to the mix, but they're very neutral, and they're to the point of where they just you know, they really set a boundary. You know, they don't like people looking in on them. But
I bet not. Did they know that they were coming? Because we talked about this before. Like Avi Loeb's out there running and yelling, "Fear, fear, fear! They're coming! Alien probe is coming!" What is going on exactly? Is this known that they're coming? They're just using this as a way to divert. I mean, obviously, you know, they have to have their fear. Alien.
Well, both
invasion,
SETI, you know, SETI and NASA have been monitoring massive ships that are parking behind the moon, and they moved in behind the sun too, you know, and they're going back and forth to all these other planets. And a lot of planets live on the inside. A lot of advanced civilizations live on the interior, because it's kind of rough on the outside. Use it everywhere, you know, you can get hit by a meteor or anything. But they, like our planet, we have interior civilizations. They're extremely advanced, the inner Earth folks, and they continued to develop, and they didn't have to start over as primitives like we did on the surface. But there's such advanced beings out there that are coming in, and a lot of them are observers. This is like the greatest show on Earth right now in the universe. It's like this ascension and watching this. I mean, it's exciting. It's crazy. Everything's going on. And so there's that. And then somebody's asked me a question, or love for that. I'll read that later. But and then a lot of them are interactive, and the platings are very interactive because they're our ancestors. A lot of us here, and there was a knuckle dragger developing naturally here that was tinkered with the Lyrians or the Anunnaki that created the more developed man. There's a lot of that going on, but there's at least 12 major star nations that are involved in our heritage that have been here. There's more than that. And then there's also hybrids going on. There's human gray hybrids. There's human reptilian hybrids. There's a lot of hybrids that are really struggling because they have a foot in both camps and they're not faring well. It's not working out too well. And there's just so much going on. I always tell people, if you really want to know what's going on, check the box that says A, B, C, D, because it's not A, it's not B. People go, it's time travelers, and you go, yeah, and it's benevolent ones, yes, it's malevolent ones, yes, it's the government, yes, it's inner earth, yes, it's all the above, it's all happening.
The above. Yeah.
And we can't pigeonhole this. And you have one group saying it's this, and they attack all the others, and the other group go, I know it's this group, and another group is saying, oh no, it's our Zetas are our relatives returning, they're a whole different group. And everybody has these different stories, and they think they have the pie, but they only have a piece of the pie. And until everybody works together, we're going to have the whole pie. And then we have to be able to release some of our wisdom we think is wisdom because some of it's incorrect. Just like on Earth right now, people are having to totally release almost everything they knew because they've been lied to over the years. And it's the same thing.
That's so true. That's hard for people to do. That is hard.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And that, I think it's Mark Twain. All those guys have sayings. It's easier to fool the people again rather than admit the truth, that they've been fooled. And so it's like, it's a hard one. As long as we're locked in the ego and we have to defend that ego and defend our social engineering, you're always going to have people like that think they know. We get them here.
What were we were talking about? I think it was. Oh, I bet with Stockholm syndrome. Is that where people in their captator they start to have feelings, and it's like, come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
The whole planet has Stockholm syndrome right now, and it's about ready to be freed from that. But when
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, I remember you coming on Art Bell back in the day. I used to listen to Art Bell when I was young, and I remember a show you did with him from I think 2003. I was telling, there's a guy who does an Art Bell channel in my chat right now on Rumble, and I was telling him, I said, yeah, James, Art Bell OG, he was on. You were on back in the day, so you've been doing this before it was even big to do podcasting, right? I mean,
yeah, we did. I was the first one to do an intention experiment on Art Bell, and we did an intention experiment. You should try it with this platform. And what we did was, the next 2 days are phenomenal. The energy is ripe for that. And if everybody just went out and pull a chair out, sit outside, get a warm jacket, get some binoculars, or even with a visible eye, and put it out there and just say, I would love to know, I want to know the truth. If there's any benevolent, loving, joyous, advanced spiritual and technological advanced civilizations out there, I want to know. I want to see them and qualify it and see what happens. Because, if people do that over the next 2 or 3 days, you're going to see some things, and it's going to change your world, because all of a sudden you're going, this is real. And then you're going to go, what else have they lied to me about? And then that cracks the door, and it's going to just keep opening and opening and opening.
Wow, that's amazing.
Once that starts, it's definitely no coming back. We have a few questions too. Can I go ahead and throw some of those in there?
Yeah,
sure. So I'll start here with Jen in no specific order, but in this regard to our Space Force, are they involved? I mean, I guess to what extent do you think all of this is being covered up?
Well, it's funny because Trump's going to disclose here real soon. He's already talked about it,
Oh, good.
And they're asking about the drones, what was happening with the drones. And it was a combination of things happening. There were off-worlders there that were usurping the program. There was deep state, there was China. Like, there's more than one thing, again, happening there. And I watched some of the UFOs go in there and pop them, knock them right down. They sent their drones after the UFOs, and they just fell straight down. And so there's more than one thing happening. And he wants to talk about it. He really wants to talk about it. And he said, they won't let me talk about it yet, but I know he is gonna blow the lid off this whole thing. And even Tulsi Gabbard is talking about it. Luna, was it Patricia Luna? Patricia something Luna. I got to get that name straight in my head, but she's really going after it in the meetings, in Congress. And we send her an ambassador training CD that tells who's who in the universe and what's really going on. So they have the they know how to answer the right questions. And so it's happening. There's no way around it. They can keep trying to control the narrative and suppress it, but people are having their own contacts and they're getting their own information, and they're going, these beings are very spiritual. They're totally benevolent, and they're saying, why aren't you talking about them? And the more they try to suppress this, it's like a pressure cooker. It just gets stronger and stronger until it just explodes. And contact is coming from the heavens right now. It's not going to come through any group or any person. It's the skies are coming in, and they're coming in and they're contacting those who have risen to the occasion, those with open minds, loving heart, and pure intent. Those are the people they're looking for. And the other people that are locked in ego and position or part of the controlled narrative and everything else, they're not, they haven't met the requirements. Basically, they're not going to be contacted. They might see a gray or a reptilian ship explode. That's about it. That's about all they're going to see.
Yeah, that's definitely true. We have another one that was really good too. Is that you mentioned the Atlas tripulation, the natural. Are natural. Neutral. They are neutral. You had mentioned before. What would be the consequences if our governments decide to attack, like the alien craft? Are they able to take them down just like that, or what kind of, technologies do they use also?
There's nothing they can do. Even with our most advanced technology, there's nothing we can do with these craft. It's like shooting at a ghost. It's not. Nothing's going to hit. It's they're so advanced. They come and go. The benevolent ones are extremely advanced, and they come and go as they please, and nothing can really touch that craft. Every once in a while, might get one daydreaming and smash. And a lot of the Gray's crafts are being taken out, and the ones that crashed in Roswell, because the radar experiment they were doing, they had 3 different radars running. And they kind of like crossed the beams and it knocked out their guidance system, and they 2 crashed into each other. That's how that happened. But they're not as savvy. They're not as tech savvy as the other ones. But the other one, before you pull the trigger, they already know. They've already tapped into you. They're already telepathically reading you. They're already listening to your communication on every level. And they know what your orders are and what your thoughts are before you even do it. And let's say you got lucky and hit one. Well, what do? They would just go back in time and avoid it. Let's say you got blown up here. Well, another ship could come in and right before the incident say, hey, left turn, make a left turn here, cloak. And they would do that. And then that timeline would go on, but that ship would be still there. So we have to realize this is dimensional time, everything is involved in this. And these beings are masters at that. And we are definitely outgunned if we try to take down one of these really advanced civilization craft. It's again, in the interest of national security, the military intelligent thing would be to align with the benevolent ones. And that's happening. A lot of leaders are actually making those connections. That, like, even Putin said that. They said people were threatening him, and he said, well, we'll see what the ETs have to say about that. But good luck with the nukes. They're not going to work.
That's a huge thing too. It's like people, I don't always worry about myself, but like the reaction of the people, like, that's good to know that they have those protective measures in there.
Well, you've got the inner earth people, and you've got bases here of benevolent ETs, and a lot of them are here living among us, and they're watching this stuff. They're not going to allow it. The other stuff is just posturing. The Pleiadians came here at the same time the Greys did, and they said, look, if you guys give up your nukes, we'll help you, and you can take a quantum leap and clean up your environment, your planet. We'll give you healing technologies. We'll put an end to the war, the disease, the poverty, everything. And we chose to go. We didn't choose. People chose for us. They chose to align with the Greys. And look at the mess we're in right now. But we could have done this in the 50s. We could have totally turned everything around in the 50s. And and now they're here again with the same offer, basically. They're like, we're back. And
so how can we get the offer before our government says, absolutely not, we want to control them and the narrative and the money. And if you do that, then they don't need our medicine. They don't need us. What do you think about that?
What was the first part of that?
I guess I'm just saying that, it's like they want to control this. So if we have this opportunity and you're saying it's presenting itself again, we can take this quantum leap and, maybe we can get through some of this craziness, because every time you let this go around, it goes around, it gains momentum.
Exactly. Well, the thing is, see, that we're going through this ascension process, and it's a vibrational continuum that we're moving up. And it's all about frequencies. And so we're moving out of that frequency. We're moving outside of their control programs and their patterns, because that's a very low frequency program. And so the people that are aligned with that program, it's collapsing. It's like the Hopi prophecies. They said that the group that wants to control and dominate and aligns with technology and all this other stuff, that world collapses. It's on a downward spiral. And the people that choose to live in harmony with each other and make their own personal connection with Creator and live in harmony with the earth, humanity and the earth, they're on the upward spiral. So one world is collapsing, the other world is ascending. And there's a big divide happening right now. And you can see it. There are people that just are not going to get it, and they're going to continue on that timeline and take it, ride it all the way to wherever they need. They're going to get hard lessons, put it that way. And that's what they've chose. And people have chose the softer lessons, and they're going to take the upward spiral.
Yeah, we're definitely in a world of karma right now. Karma's almost become instant. I have one more question from chat, and then I'll Rob, if you want to have some stuff. James, hi, all inner, middle, and below Earth beings. Can you comment on whether they have reincarnated or live among us to help our ascension the last 100 years or more relevant? I know you kind of touched on some of that, but
here at the ranch, I have people here that are, let's say, daughters of like Inky. I have beings that were fairies in a past life, in the physical and human. They look like one too in this life. I have a lot of people from Orion in the Pleiades system that incarnated, that are here, that come out, and a lot of volunteers, and a lot of feline beings. There's people that have feline heritages, and you can see it in them. It's like, you can tell. And then some people are mixes. Like, you have a whole mix. You have like 5 different groups that you're working with, and that you're aligned with. It's in your lineage, your lineage. That's why you're doing what you're doing. And then there's a lot of Arcturian energy too. That Rob's got a bunch of Arcturian energy hanging out with him.
Oh, so you can see in us, right? So you can,
yeah.
Is that what you're saying, that because you started to nail on some stuff, and I was like, oh wow, well, wow. So I was like, and then you talk about Rob. So, and I know you've said that it's so true when you start to take a step back. So what are your takes, I guess, on Rob and I, and like where exactly? Because this is interesting. This is really, it struck me the last time you started talking about it.
You're doing exactly what you came to do. You're working, you're connecting with your lineages, your spiritual lineages, and doing exactly what you came here to do. So it's all one big family. They're all united in the heavens, and they're coming here to help right now, and they're activating people on a soul level to remember their heritage, because we're eternal souls. We've been all throughout the galaxy, and some of us are aware of it, some of us aren't. The muggles are still kind of like they're in the muggle world. They think they're a body and a personality, and that's okay. They're ruled through survival, their own survival. But
That's, I guess, my last question before I make sure, but can you kind of go through some of the characteristics of the star system and people? Because that's been a huge thing, because I'm seeing, a lot of commonalities between the subcategories or the groups of people. Can you kind of explain?
Yeah, well, the inner Earth, a lot of these people all spacefaring. Even the ancient Lemurians and Atlanteans, they're all spacefaring groups. And the inner Earth guys are spacefaring too. They and because of that, they're all connected. That's a commonality. And the on the inner Earth, you've got almost everything that was ever created is still alive on the inner Earth. It's been, and you have that going on. You've got little beings, short little guys in robes, that are really powerful, and they've got giants standing behind them that are 8 feet tall. Humans, and you look at the little guy and you go, what a cute little guy. And then you get a headache, a thought for them. They'll let you know who they are. And you go, oh my God, you're the leader. You're the leader here. There's a lot of planes and boats that were taken in the Bermuda Triangle in there. They're all stacked on a beach. The Bermuda Triangle is a great door that opens. It's a G-force door that opens up. And if there's something over it, it gets sucked into it. And a lot of the people still live on the inside, and so you've got those groups, a lot of diversity there, and you've got the main group here that's helping us are the Pleiadians, and a lot of them just look like supermodels. They live like 1,200 years, and they're just beautiful. You just fall in love with them, and a lot of the contacts are made through the women because people don't get defensive. You get big male, he might be armored up or something, and you go, whoa, you like, and this beautiful female, you go, oh my God, who's this? And you feel the love coming to you. And so those, it's easier for them to make contact with us. And so there's a lot of feminine contact going on. The Pleiadians are more of a matriarchal society. They're more divine feminine. Like Mary's really connected with the Pleiadians energy, and they're synonymous basically. The House of Mary, the grandmothers and Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, it's all connected. The Orions went through the Orion War, and they're our ancestors too. We all go back to the root race of Lyra, and they went through the wars, and they're very savvy. They're very street savvy. They call bullshit. They're very, they know what the dark side's all about because they had to deal with it. And then you've got the Andromedans, which are mythologically known as archangels, and they're 8 to 10 foot tall light beings. They have magnetized light bodies and light ships, and that they live in a holographic light universe. And then I don't know a lot about the Arcturians because I've been working so much with the others. They've kind of been in the background, but they're very, very advanced beings. They're the ones making the crop circles mostly. And then you've got the Syrians, which are hilarious. The ancient Lyra kind of blew up, and so they're in Sirius now. But you've got 3 levels of felines, and you have humanoid felines, and you have kind of an upright panther being, and then you have these lion beings that are 17 feet tall. And they're the protectors of the gods. They were the protectors of the Anunnaki until the Anunnaki got into turf wars and started falling duty. They started moving out of universal law, and the feline beings say, look, they're very noble. They said, you're breaking universal law. We can't be a part of this. And they left, and they went back to Sirius. And there's statues like Sekhmet. There's all these statues in Egypt about that. It's universal. Under the Antarctic, they're actually seeing a lot of their bodies and things. They're not telling us about it, but they've been around for a long time. And so a lot of us are kind of hybrids of those different things on. And when your soul, when you incarnate into the human body starts taking on some characteristics of that. And so I can see Syrian in people. I can see the feline in some people. I can see the fairy kingdom in other people. They're just really nature. They're very, they're very loving and very fun, and the elven beings, you can see people who are elven in their soul, but might be human here. And the problem is if your soul's on a higher level, higher dimension, it's hard to adjust to Earth because it's not what you're used to. And most of the higher develops, they all get along, they all cooperate, they all work together, they all love each other, and it's a different scenario than Earth. On Earth, it's sad. There's not very much love on Earth, to be honest with you. There's a lot of need, a lot of dependency, but there's not a lot of real love, that where you really do care about somebody and whatever, you just want them to be happy and things like that. That's kind of not seen very often, but but we're moving out of that. We're moving out of those old programs, the old social constructs. I'm trying to think of who else. I don't know if I missed anybody. Can you think of anybody? I'm sure I missed. And those are just the main groups. I mean, there's subgroups and there's so many. And I always tell people, if you're going to play around, I wouldn't advise playing around with the grays or the reptilians. Some are just neutral, and they're doing experiments and things. They're not really bad. And some are nasty. There are some tall grays that are really nasty. You don't want to deal with. And the reptilians too. If you're going to play around with the reptilians, you've got several different categories there. And I would advise just not to, unless you really know what you're doing, because they don't have the mammal brain. They don't have the community consciousness. They don't have. It's all about survival and power and power over others. And that's just where they function.
That's so true.
And so there's, when you get into the royal reptilians and those other guys, and they just don't like us, period. Some see us as draconians. They see us as a food source. Basically, they do not like us at all. And, because we're representations of Creator, and they're on the other side of that. And so, and
there's hatred. There's hatred.
Yeah, there's literal hatred, and that's what you're seeing with the satanic Luciferian energy, and that's why you're having the population reduction stuff and all that stuff, because they don't, some of these religions see us as just meat, basically. We're not worth anything. But it's sad, but all that's coming to an end. It's going to come to a close. But I always tell people, it's like the mind in which you seek is the mind in which you connect. So if you're a controller or a manipulator, you're going to connect with controlling and manipulating beings, and you will eventually be totally controlled and manipulated. You'll lose your soul, and you're done with. And if you connect with loving, service-oriented beings, benevolent beings, then you're going to get a lot of love and a lot of service and a lot of help, and then you're supposed to pass that on and help others. But that's the bottom line. It's your come from. It always goes back to your come from. What is your come from? Are you doing this in service? Are you doing this in love? Are you are you part of the awakening healing process? Are you self-serving? And if you're self-serving, you're gonna connect with anything that's going to give you more wealth, more power, whatever. And we're having the big divide right now between those two processes.
That's so true on so many different levels of, it just where people are coming to a point, and it is coming, like you said. It is coming. Yeah. Otherwise you wouldn't see such extreme measures being taken. What do you think a good point for humanity? You've got all these healing things that you're doing at the ranch ECETI. You offer stuff online if people want to, take the self-discovery, because this is a path that
we have self-mastery ambassador training, and I kind of combined them together because they're a good mix together, but we need self-mastery tools if we're going to do the other. And so I teach both at the same time, because like we said before, just because you're dead doesn't mean you're enlightened, and just because you're an ET doesn't mean you're benevolent. So we teach people how to stand in their own power, how to heal unseen negative influences. And then we tell them who's who in the universe. You can work with these guys, don't work with these guys, so they have an understanding. And it's funny because that information has gone out to some very high level people now, because they're realizing that, wow, this is it's like
the awakening and getting out.
We incarnated and we didn't get the book. We didn't get the manual. We incarnated, and to us when we were kids, our parents are God, to us, and then we got socially conditioned, and then you think you're a body and a personality, and the next step is realizing you're more than a body and a personality. You're actually a spirit, and then you have a soul, and then the next step is that soul is multidimensional. And then you start accessing all of your different lives and everything you've ever been. And we've done everything down here. I've been on the ships. I've been captain of the ships, and I've been a beggar. I was a road bandit in one lifetime. I was a Viking warrior. It's like I have full memory of all of my different lives, and I gained wisdom from each experience and moved on. I had to go back and heal some of them, but we've done, a lot of us have done everything. And there's no saying God has given its best for these times. And so all of these advanced civilizations are incarnating for these times and waking up. And that's the big picture of what's happening.
We did have a question. James, are you having guests on your ranch? I don't know if you...
Yeah, we're open right now. And we open Thursday through Sunday. And we have a healing circle Saturday night. Every Saturday night we have the show, the As You Wish Talk Radio, and the ECETI Stargate. It's all the same. We play the show, and then we do a healing circle after that. And we have other workshops coming up. Different groups are coming here, and there's a lot going on. If you go to ECETI.org, the website, you can see what's on the agenda. And then next year, we're probably going to we'll get you guys out here, and you can see for yourself and do some live broadcasting.
Oh yeah, it's going to be exciting. I always tell people, stay tuned. There's some exciting announcements to be coming, because
we had to gear back, because I was under attack from everything you can imagine, all the agencies, the other being everything, and now that's all being cleared out, and next year we can start up again. It's going to be great. It's going to be a great future. Hang in there.
Oh, yes. And this is an opportunity for everybody to get out there and to see it firsthand. If you haven't experienced something like this, it's an experience. It is.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
And like I was saying before, the mind in which you seek is the mind in which you connect. So if you're putting it out there, a loving, joyous thought, and say, I want to know, that's the type of beings you're going to connect with. And if you go, okay, I want to find out what this is so I can be famous, all right, then if you have a controlling, manipulating mind or self-serving, then that's what you're going to connect with, because it's your come from is really important.
That is so true, and to keep your intentions pure. And exactly. They were saying that they were going to come up in the next couple of weeks, but you're shutting down here the beginning of next month, just so people know, and going to Hawaii. So
because I have to I got to go pick coffee. The coffee's coming in, and so I'm like Juan Valdez up there with my little hat.
You make your own coffee? You make your own coffee, James?
What's that?
Do you make your own coffee too?
Yeah. We have a coffee called it's ECETI coffee. It tastes out of this world. It's got a little UFO on it. And
buy some.
And we sell it here. We sell it here. But it's the old Arabica beans. It's the most ancient plant that we went and stumped it and brought it all back. And it's 100% Arabica. It's not cut with anything. And it's like people that drink and go, this is the best coffee. Even the locals there said this is the best coffee they've ever tasted. It's hard to get that kind of coffee anymore.
Rob's
man,
on the plane tomorrow. Yeah, he loves coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah, come out, and we'll put one of the little coffee pickers outfits on you. Sorry.
That sounds like fun.
It actually is. It's like Zen. We had these people come there and they're all stressed out and they start picking coffee and they go, I feel so good. I don't know why. They say, I feel all zenned out. Well, the ranch itself there in Hawaii has this huge light field around it. We've actually taken pictures of it, and the UFOs are coming in constantly. And we're having all the Hawaiian elders showing up, seen and unseen. It's really an amazing place. So we're working on getting that. We only have one bathroom right now, so we're kind of limited, but yeah, it's
It'll be fun. I told Rob, I said, this will be like getting out and going camping. I said, but it is so you connect with that Mother Earth, and it's just an amazing feeling. Amazing.
Oh, it is. And you're on the land, and something about just being out there picking coffee, you're totally in your own. There's an old saying, weed the garden, weed your mind. And the same thing. It's like picking coffee. You're like, your mind is getting cleared out too at the same time.
And no chemicals, no government chemicals. That's great.
Yeah,
hey, Rob.
yeah. Okay.
I was gonna say,
Baba G came to me once, and I said, what is the best teaching I can give here to people? And he said, put a shovel in their hand. And I go, what? And he goes, yeah. And he said, because if they have something to do with their mind, keep the mind busy, and we can start downloading and working with them. But they have to have something to occupy their mind. And and that's like the Qigong and the other things we teach here. It's the practice of no mind, of getting into that space where just spirit is coming in and connecting.
The dual stimulation, I call it. I said it's like walking and talking, but you're right. So it's all about kind of keeping that mind occupied too, so you're able and open and receptive.
Yeah, like in Qigong, you're doing the elements. You're like doing water, and you're doing the elements, and so your mind has to focus on the practice. And then while you're doing that, all this energy is coming down through your crown, and even the meditation, you sit in a certain way where you hold your feet in your hands, and it's a way for energy to run through your body. And it's funny, at the end of the sessions, everybody is laughing so hard because they're connected. And that's our true nature, is this loving, joyous, manifesting God or goddess. That's who we really are. And it's just pure bliss or pure joy. And when we do the initiations and connect people in, they just start laughing. It's hilarious. The whole group is just laughing uncontrollably. That's who we really are. That's our true nature.
Yeah, that's so amazing. And that connection and that strength, it is too. That, just that intoxicating feeling is just
yeah. And when one person goes off, it's so funny watching it. One person will go off, and then the other go, and then it's just starts, and then the whole group is just laughing. And it's very healing that we have. That's when we have these spontaneous healings. When you're laughing, it's like we're out in the field cracking bad jokes, and everybody's laughing, and the ships come right in really low because everybody's having fun, everybody's in joy. And if you get all serious and pious, and you got some control freak trying to run this C5 thing or whatever, that's not going to bring the right kind of beings in, and so we do something beyond that.
You do too, because if you go back, even the video that was released, you can hear everybody's just, and that was a part of me that really connected with it, because every time I'd see one, I just get, it's just that excitement, and you could hear it through the whole group. It was like, and you just don't get that if there's like, swamp gas or whatever they had.
It's all about frequency, love and joy and laughter. Those are really high frequencies, and it's all about frequency. And we have to rise to the occasion if we are going to work with these high vibrational beings, and that's what it's all about. It's not about some pious, serious, 6-page thing you're going to read, to go up and control the ship and take them to land. That's all mental nonsense. It's like, have fun, put the intention out and have fun. They're going to go, hey, there's a fun group. Let's go play with them. And they'll do their little dazzle duty. They'll come in and light up and do all kinds of turns and everything. It's kind of fun.
It
Wow,
really
that's
is. It is. It's one of the best feelings ever. It just such
Yeah,
excitement.
the whole thing about the whole UFO topic, if you look at the whole movie industry, it's all about they're coming to eat you and create you and peel off, and that's all they push is that dark side. And again, that's another control program. It's just another, keep you into survival, fear, and all the other nonsense.
Oh, so true. And they're going to keep you trapped and all that. And we appreciate you coming on today. Robert, or do you have any questions for James?
No, I think everybody between me, you, and all the audience, I think everybody asked everything. This was amazing, though. I loved it. Thank you, James. This was awesome.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and too, well, Peter Maxwell Slattery is coming on tonight, so we have ECETI.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, he's my brother from another mother.
I love it. I love it. He's excellent. He is absolutely excellent. And you guys, I tell you, between the two of your videos, and you got them all out there. If you go in to ECETI Ranch, Stargate or ECETI, am I saying that right? Stargate official. Some of the
all the ECETI Stargate is the Rumble and the X and all that other stuff. It's on all the networks. YouTube. We don't broadcast on YouTube because we just get kicked off because we tell people what they need to hear and we cover everything and we don't hold back. And so we've gotten kicked off there a lot.
Yeah, that will get you cut from YouTube in seconds. That sure will.
Exactly.
Oh,
certain things, just if you say you're gone,
Yes, you're doing your job if you had a channel shut down along the way. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, we've been demonetized, debanked, everything constantly. It's like we're always, and the agency's coming after us, and I'm still dealing with that crap, but they're out of time. They lost. They're out of time.
You're right too. I think they wouldn't be so desperate to do all this and shut all this down if they weren't.
Yeah, they're just grasping at straws right now, trying to keep their dynasties going, and it's all collapsing.
Bring it on.
People are figuring it out.
Yeah, they are too, and that's a good sign. And you've been such a part of this awakening process for so many years, even before I knew what awakening was. You were out there doing this work. So I appreciate it. I really do.
It's funny, when I had that last near-death experience, it's like I did a start over, and I can't even relate to age anymore. It's not even part of my reality. It's kind of, because I remember before the Earth was solid, so my memories go back pretty far. And
you said all your your past life experiences. I remember very vividly a few of them, but you existed across the course of time and space. That's amazing.
Yeah. I've been at other civilizations, I've had a lot of Native American past lives, everything, and I have that in my DNA right now, but there's just so many, and we've done everything. We've done everything. And like, even as a road bandit, I was stealing from the rich, and I had a woman in every cantina, and I was giving the money away to everybody, helping everybody out. And I got hung at 24. I got caught and hung. And my last meal had a lot of cilantro in it. And so now I can't even smell. If I go near cilantro, it like triggers everything. I'm still working on clearing that one out. But a lot of our allergies come from that. Cat allergies, you were thrown to the lions in the past, things like that. That's where a lot of your allergies actually come from.
So true. I believe that too. And it's funny that you say that. It's like, this is the human experience. And I like every road that you took got you here. You got to have fun once in a while, but do intend on getting kicked back from time to time. Yeah. This one is I'm jetting right through here and out of here. I'm trying
there's no saying I never made a mistake. I experienced a lot of things and I gained a lot of wisdom. And so really you're innocent, and you make decisions, and then you get feedback, and then you go, whoa, that didn't work. And then you try something else, and that's called evolution. And people go, you have to be perfect. And I said, well, perfect's a limitation, because there's no evolution in perfect. And who sets the bar for perfection? It's like, it doesn't, you're always evolving. And that's basically what we're going through. Right. We're going through a quantum leap in evolution right now.
And it's not an easy process, and it's not a clear cut and dry process. There's a lot of bumps and bruises along the way.
Exactly.
That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you got to experience a lot of little what you don't want, and that's how you perfect what you do want.
For as happy as you are, as sad as you experience, it's a pendulum that's swinging back and forth. You can't know or understand what happiness is until you've understood.
Yeah, I don't beat myself up anymore. It's like I used to beat myself. Oh, I could have done this, or I should have done this, and I don't do that anymore. I go, that was interesting. I'll try something else this time. It's just like that didn't work. Okay, let's. So.
And your sense of humor is brilliant. I love it. So I said those moments, those things that you got to keep a sense of humor through some of this.
If you don't, this planet will eat you alive if you don't keep a sense of humor. And to me, I like the more politically incorrect humor is the better because really we get that politically correctness is social engineering. And so, I mean, look at all the comedians. They all were shut down for a while. You couldn't even make a joke. And without having everybody attack you, and now they're all coming back, and they're just ripping and saying everything. It's hilarious watching it. Well, they're helping people master judgment, and not get offended. It's like, and it's great. Unfortunately they took out a lot of the enlightened ones, like George Carlin and the other people.
I know.
That they were getting to too many people, and
George Carlin was great. I interviewed somebody he's right under what George Carlin was telling Rob about the other day. I said, he's talked about how he had a certain topic and people started ripping, and he was dead serious, ripping the arms off the chairs. He said it was met with such an extreme reaction, that programming.
Oh, it's funny. It's funny watching him. He goes, "You guys don't realize it's a big club and you're not in it."
Yeah. Yes.
And
if you really don't want to talk to you.
That's what's happening with disclosure. It's a club, and if you're authentic, you're not in it. Or you're not going to stay in it very long because, it's just the way it is right now. But that's changing because they can't stop disclosure because it's coming from the skies, and it's for everyone. It's not for any group to control or manipulate, or government or religion. It's here for everyone.
That's so true. Yes. Well, James, we'd like to thank you so much. I could sit and talk to you all day. And definitely we'll plan something very soon. And I just cannot thank you enough. Is there anything else that you would like to talk about before?
We have a self-mastery class coming up on the 22nd, and there's still space in that. But that, if you go to ECETI.org, you can check that out. And then basically, I always tell people just keep an open mind, a loving heart, and pure intent. That's all you need to get through this. You don't need to be a rocket scientist. You don't need to do all the research and everything else. Just be kind to each other and be kind to the planet, and you'll get through this. And that's what the higher beings are looking for.
Don't give up. Don't give up.
Yeah, don't give up. It's going to get better. The chaos you're seeing is the healing. It's revealing everything so it can be healed and dealt with and done away with. And so when you see the chaos, don't get all upset about it. You go, and people's deepest, darkest wounds and traumas and everything are coming up right now. And that's why you're seeing the end time madness. It's part of the healing process that's going on.
Oh, yeah. And sometimes for things to heal, it has to get worse before it gets better. That's really.
Exactly.
That's amazing. Well, James, thank you so much again for coming on. And
all right,
I'll have to tell Peter that you said hello. Yes. And I'll talk to you very soon. Yes. What a great, awesome.
You, James.
So
amazing.
Yeah, James, isn't he amazing? Rob, I just absolutely love him.
It was really cool.
Yeah. Doing so much.
This was a great show, I thought, for real.
Yes, and the cat's out of the bag a little bit about next year, so we kind of go from there. It'll be some very exciting. If you guys can get to the ranch, go to the ranch. I mean, this is going to be an amazing opportunity, even if you can get there anytime. I mean, throughout the year, and then James is open. I mean, it's just, you can't, that's an experience of a lifetime. It really is.
Yeah. So I guess we'll be live later tonight at 8:00, right? And Yeah.
8 o'clock Eastern time. We're going to end 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. And from there, I probably should Google the conversion because my brain gets a little confused. But we're going to have Peter Maxwell Slattery on tonight, who's the ECETI out of Australia. And so we're going to just have an ECETI, like, great day today. Definitely.
Yeah.
So I guess, Rob, is there anything we needed to cover before we're going to see everybody again this evening at, again, Rob said 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time?
I think that's it. Just send me a link and I'll get it ready. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, yeah.
All right.
Great.
All right.
Yeah, so I
Well,
guess on behalf of Typical Skeptic Podcast, Rob, and SNX Radio Coley, we thank you for taking the journey into the unknown. And we will be back with you at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And until then, stay safe and we'll be talking to you shortly.
thanks.